Bunny could catch better than you. Come on.
How it's like society is set up to actually suppress that side of the brain and keep you locked into the lifestyle.
Concerning conflict de-escalation.
Please have a seat and get comfortable.
Please have a seat and get comfortable.
Right here?
Everyone hear me well enough? Yeah. Because I don't want to have to do the mic check thing for all this stuff. But
the megaphone.
I'll try.
Elvis, can we use your megaphone?
Megaphone? Great power comes with great responsibility. I don't know if I'm ready to hand over that responsibility.
speak.
It's for 15 minutes.
Just do it. I'm not asking for it, but I could.
Does anyone have a cigarette?
Yeah, go on.
Wow, that was really speedy.
Good song.
Yes, there you go. That's how it works. Can everyone hear me now? Very good. Okay, this seems to work. So, there are situations where you're concerned about a person trying to get people worked up, trying to get people to do something that's not in solidarity with the movement in New York. This is a peaceful, non-violent movement. If you have different plans for how to protest corporate greed, how to protest the problems of the government, if you have different plans for what they've been doing in New York, there are lots of other venues that'll be fine for that. Today, we're assembled here today to do this, to be in solidarity with New York, to be non-violent, to be peaceful, and respectful of everyone. We may not have the same perspectives on government, on police, on corporations, but we have all come together here today because we have things in common. So, I'm going to tell you some things this procedure was designed to work with an individual who is worked up, who is in an agitated state, needs to calm down. I think it could also be used for larger groups of people who may also need to calm down. So, first of all, the most important thing about de-escalation, seeing a person or a group of people who are worked up, maybe a danger to themselves or others for whatever reason, and are breaking the peace, as it were. If we want those people to calm down, the number one thing is respect. A big part of that is communication. You want to be able to make yourself available to the person. Eye contact is a good idea if it's culturally appropriate. You want to make sure that a person who is agitated, who is uncomfortable with what's going on around them, knows you're really listening. And this isn't just about saying, I'm listening. This is about eye contact, how you're standing, if you're giving them time to talk, how you speak to them, and showing them fundamental respect. Being non-judgmental is also very important. This means that if someone is saying something that you don't agree with, you don't understand it, we all have empathy skills. We should all use our empathy. Empathy, the way psychologists talk about it this way these days, means that you're able to see that even though you don't understand their perspective, you don't know where they're coming from, why they're doing what they're doing, you understand that they have a good reason. In their mind, this all makes sense. In their mind, this is a crisis. In their mind, they do need respect in order to be able to work out this conflict that they're experiencing. It's okay if there's silence when you're dealing with somebody. When you're trying to talk somebody down, you don't have anything to say right away, they don't have anything to say right away, at least nobody's yelling. If someone is yelling, you can give them their space, respond to them when you can. It's best, part of not being judgmental is not saying a whole lot of you, not saying you need to calm down, not saying you're doing wrong, not applying blame. Even if you feel that, even if you feel, why is this person disrupting what we're doing here today? What you can do easily is say, instead of saying you have to calm down, let's all calm down. Let's be respectful. Let's talk this out. If you get a person sitting, if you get a person in a less aggressive posture, that's a good thing to do. We all need to be able to unwind. When someone's worked up, they'll take cues from other people's body language. They'll see if you're worked up too. It's best to stay a little step away from ourselves. We need to be aware of our own thoughts, what we're saying to ourselves. If our narrative in our own mind is, this is impossible, this isn't going to work, this person is going to get us in trouble and cause problems. If that's your narrative, then it may be problematic. You may be talking yourself down and underselling yourself and your ability to deal properly with the situation. A better narrative might be, and this may sound cheesy to some, because it does, but say to yourself, we have all talked about this. We all have the skills we need. We all know how to be empathic. That's built in. We can all give each other the respect we need. That's a narrative that might be more useful to us in this situation. It's always important to recognize the limit of your ability. You're not psychic, so you can't know exactly what a person is going through, why they feel they need to be worked out to cause a kind of commotion. But you can't know exactly what they're feeling. So you can't expect that your words will immediately have the effect. It may take quite a while. If the person is all worked up, there may be a tense moment. The important thing is to give yourself the space you need and to take a step back from yourself and understand yourself rationally that you're getting worked up too. It is tense, but it's okay. And if we see anything like that cropping up where there is conflict between individuals, whoever they are, if some of them are police, if none of them are police, if it's just a conflict between some of us and other people who are here to accomplish similar goals, but they don't have the same way of going about it that we do. As we may see these things in the coming weeks, after we've learned to de-escalate one or two of these things, it's always best to debrief, possibly right afterwards, to say to each other, even the person who may have been worked up, the person who's been de-escalated, check in on how everyone around you is doing. Be respectful of each other. That this is a difficult thing we're trying to accomplish here. To be in this space peacefully, to send this message, this is challenging, and we can face that challenge, and that should be our narrative. So that's more or less what I have to say about this today. That we can accomplish this. If someone is getting worked up, if we think that someone is trying to incite something other than what we've all assembled here to do, we can work things through with that person without conflict, without violence. That we are able to do this. Thank you for listening.
Here. Yeah, nice we have. I'm glad this is also happening basically everywhere. Yeah, the entire planet is falling inside of Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's kind of just out of the blue and everywhere on the planet. Everyone's just getting that for so many years and finally doing something. Yeah, no. We're gonna start shit. I think it's awesome that everywhere it's been has been really peaceful too. Like, it's not a bunch of... There's no one trying to wreck it. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I feel like it's almost been too peaceful in some cases. Like... It's gonna be a long process. Yeah, definitely. The fly, but I don't think they'll have to. Yeah. But the thing is, like, in New York, it's like, you see just like a crowd of people sitting down and police just methodically taking one or two people at a time, but getting the entire crowd eventually just like beating people demonstrating to arrest people. Like, people should at least be willing to like link out and sort of like push back or something, like prevent each other from being arrested. Like, you can do that fairly non-violently. Yeah, like, well, we had our own handcuffs to yeah, I wasn't so stoked for showing up for the de-escalation training, but...
Toronto in 1984, I ran a federal election against the Solicitor General of Canada, which was Bob Kaplan. During that campaign, he broke every election law you could ever imagine. He had goon squads terrorizing people, doing everything you think it's only in a movie. This is what I was up against. During 1984, halfway through the campaign, Bob Kaplan created CSIS. CSIS is an organization that can do anything to anybody at any time everything covertly. They can alter your personal records. They can influence your parents, your mother, anybody they want. They can assume, and so everything they do, okay, is done that way through CSIS. And Bob Kaplan, in 1984, during the campaign, told me, and he threatened my life. He said, "We are going to destroy you. We're going to make you so destitute that you have to resort to crime to survive. And when you do, we are going to have our fun with you. We're going to put you in our jail." When I was in Toronto, I've been a genius all my life. When I was in Toronto, I ran a $1 billion company. I helped a friend of mine run his campaign. And then I quickly found out everything that's going on. And here's the shocker for you guys. When people go into a polling station to vote, they see all these kind people. When the polling station doors are closed, the kind people open up the ballot boxes, and once they're in agreement on the vote count, they make 2 phone calls, one to the campaign office where I was at, and one to some mysterious undisclosed location where there's a guy sitting at a computer. When the witnesses leave the polling stations, they're not handed any documentation to prove what the vote count was. So once they take their eyes off that ballot box, it means nothing. Your elections are rigged in this country, folks. Okay, this is why they destroyed my life. This is how I ended up in this chair. They drove a car over me, trying to kill me. I'm the real thing. I'm published all over the world, and all I've ever done in my whole life is tell the truth. And I'm amazed that I don't get support from people, because I have never harmed anyone in my life, and I love my country, I love democracy, and I love truth. And that's what I've lived for my whole life, because the alternative is insanity. Ever notice that all the big name assholes in the government, no one's ever heard of them before? All of a sudden they're there and they run our country? Because it's all rigged. I'm telling you the truth. This is what I discovered in Toronto in 1984 when I ran the campaign. And let me tell you something, guys. I'm not talking about hearsay. I'm the real thing. I'm the guy that risks his life to get this information out to people. And if my information I'm telling you right now is not empowering you to go and ask questions in your life and ask the witnesses at the polling stations, "Hey, guys, when you leave, you get a copy of the votes? You know, the results?" So there should be a data bank somewhere, so all the different polling stations, when they're closed, they can all get together to compare notes and make sure the vote's not being rigged. They don't do that. The purpose of witnesses, originally in Canada, was to make sure that the votes weren't being corrupted. The witnesses today have no power, at all. None. It's all a fraud, guys. And you know what, guys? Realize something. The insanity in the world that I'm describing to you, there's no end to it. You can keep learning this stuff the rest of your life. The point is not to learn about the insanity. The point is to learn how to think and how to take over your lives. And the way to do that is to empower yourself. You can only empower yourself if you seek the truth and speak it. And don't be afraid to speak the truth. I want to see a society that's not full of cowards. When you're young, you're beginning to discover all this insanity in the world. You get caught up in what I call a web of deceit. The trick is, if you get caught up in a web of deceit in your lifetime, when you're in that web, the first thing you're going to do is start wiggling, trying to get out of it. The second you do that, you're finished. You cannot get caught up in the web of deceit, and that's the only way you'll survive. And the way to do that is to know how to think. Remember what I said what truth is. Right? That's right. It's called critical thinking. Stay out of the web of deceit. Don't get caught up.